There you go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this evening's Lyme Awareness Month conversation here. We're here with my friend Harry Massey. We're going to be diving deep into bioenergetics and healing. And tonight's going to be really kind of fun. I think we're going to dive deep into sort of the emotional healing aspects of recovering from chronic illness as well. So just want to say thank you and welcome. A few little housekeeping things. Just remember that we have tonight, and then we have another event this Thursday, May 27th, 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific, and I'll be doing a live healing session going over the things that really worked for me in my healing journey. And if anyone's interested in looking at any of the replays, I just dropped that into the chat, so you can just go over to our YouTube channel. It's all up for free. And so without further ado, just wanted to welcome you, Harry. Thanks for taking the time out to share about your journey, and figure we'd start off. And, I didn't say much about your journey. I figured I'd just let you share with people, because I think it's really telling of why we're here tonight, and, really just sharing the hope for people getting better, healing, and stuff like that. So welcome, and thanks for coming.
No, thank you. So when I was 21, I had these 3 accidents that led me to having total bed-bound chronic fatigue, and I basically got stuck at home for the next 7 years. It started with a climbing accident. So I was in Scotland and was ice climbing up Ben Nevis, ended up falling off that mountain, fracturing my spine. Didn't know I'd fractured my spine until I had a paragliding accident a few years later, where I was rushed off to hospital and had an X-ray, and they said, "Oh, you're all right that day, but you've got a fracture from before." And anyway, that was actually when I was already sick. 6 months later, I went out to Europe, and I was basically out mountaineering there, and ended up with a huge fever when I was climbing again. Went back, checked into like a hotel for 10 days or so, and that turned out to be like the trigger of that was Epsom bar, and it was like the sort of beginning of all of those types of symptoms. I ended up going out to university. I think you have to mute yours. I can hear the echo coming back through. And anyway, I ended up going back out to the Alps for a third time. And that time I got so exhausted, I ended up just stuck in a tent eating dried bananas for a week. Got the energy to drive back, stopping on the highway every 45 minutes. Didn't know what to do with myself, so enrolled in a MBA. I was too sick really to do that MBA, so I split it over 2 years. Ended up not knowing what to do, so halfway through that, in the summer, I went out to South Africa, did a water fast, I basically dropped a third of my body weight, past all these bucketfuls of parasites. Went back to university. Well, I couldn't go back to university at that point. So at that point, I ended up stuck at home. But I did finish my MBA, but I finished it in a wheelchair. So that, I was wheeled in for that. And then really it was the sort of period I spent the next 7 years stuck at home, trying absolutely everything. So, I know a lot of people on this webinar have Lyme disease, which is fairly similar in the symptoms, and I tried all the things like there's Holder Clark with like killing off all the parasites and detoxing, etc. None of that worked. I did fasting, and I wouldn't ever recommend. Well, I wouldn't recommend that severe type of fasting. That was a 3-week water fast, and I'd had all of these IVs, but that never managed to sort of replace my magnesium levels. Did every diet you could possibly think of. And around 7 years in that, I just sort of thought to myself, if I don't have energy, why don't I study where energy comes from? And that gave us the sort of concept to look into what the field is now called, which is bioenergetics, which is the study of energy in living systems. I was introduced to this scientist from Australia who'd be mapping out the energy and information of the human body. I wrote him a fax, and this is 25 years ago now, 25 years ago. And he wrote back and said, I don't know why I'm sending you this, but he sent me a paper on quantum biology. Didn't understand it. Another 6 months went past. I was very, very sick at the time. But I had this concept in my head of making a home wellness system, because I thought if people like myself who couldn't go and drive to doctors because I was too sick could work out what was wrong with them from their own home and be given the information to get better, that would be, well, three things might happen. I might get my health back, other people get their health back, and also I'd be able to have some form of income because I couldn't work because I was too sick to work. And anyway, so we ended up in this sort of well, at the time he was in Australia, I was in England, but we agreed to meet in Los Angeles. I hadn't got on a plane in, I guess, 7 years at that point, but I got on a plane. Well, I was still really sick. Met him halfway in Los Angeles for 10 days, and I flew back to England. He flew back to Australia, and he took me on as a patient and was basically giving me what we now call an infoceutical, but he used this technique where he worked out that I was full of all these different viruses. He gave me these antidotes to these viruses, which were just pure information rather than anything chemical. And from that, I basically got this fever, so I knew there was something in it. And then he made me all these other infoceuticals, and like one was called ESR, that stands for emotional stress release, where I went from being very wired, but still tired, but the wired part went away. So I ended up recovering what I would now call the sort of concept of recovering your body battery. And anyway, there were a few things like that that gave me enough confidence that what he was saying was true. He ended up emigrating from Australia to the UK, where we formed an R&D company it was called Nest Health. It's now called Energy for Life. And anyway, there's a whole other 24 years of history. But the short version is we ended up pioneering this field of bioenergetics, which is the study of energy in living systems, creating a system that could read the energy and information of the body, but also correct it. But one of the things, is what we're going to talk about tonight. When I look back at why I got sick, it was also a massive it was basically a mismanagement of my energy and a mismanagement of our emotions. And, what I didn't say in all of those climbing accidents is I was doing all that rock climbing, taking extreme risks, because I wasn't particularly happy person. And I was basically so stressed in my own life that I took all these extreme risks. And if I'd been able to manage my energy and manage my emotions properly at that time, I would never have ended up I just wouldn't have ended up sick, probably not sick at all. And so that's sort of, years and years later, one of the things that we wanted to do was to create, well, originally I wanted to create a home wellness system. And now with where technology is, basically we ended up making a wearable that can detect, correct, and protect your energy and emotions. So that's sort of that's sort of backstory. But maybe I should explain more about energy and emotions.
Yeah, I think one of the things that just to sort of really jumps out at me just to highlight, Harry, is like, kind of the story even that some people know here that I've had too is you're doing the things you love. Maybe we're driving our energy a little too hard. We're getting stressed out because we're not managing our energy well.
Hey, one
And
thing,
then we have something.
I'm
What's
just
that?
reading the comments. A lot of people saying they can't hear me. I
No, I
just want
think
to
it
check.
was they couldn't see you is what I thought it
I
said,
can
couldn't
hear him
hear
fine,
you,
just
but it
can't see
says,
it. I have my volume up, full blast, still having a hard
yeah,
time.
yeah. No, your
Okay,
volume's good. I misread what they
totally
said.
good, fine. I just
They
want to
just
check.
couldn't see you, and I don't know why. So I could see. Oh, his volume was low. Interesting. I hear you great. So, um,
I don't know.
Let's
It's right in
see.
front of
Oh,
me.
much better. I can see it was the volume. Okay, there you go.
Cool. All
Some
right.
people
So
can't
no, I
see,
just
some
want to
people
check.
can. I'm
Don't
loving
want to do
it.
the whole webinar and nobody hear you.
No, let me take a quick peek. No, they can. I mean, I hear you and see you, no problem. It's kind of very interesting to me. I'll check what our stream is doing, but yeah, I mean, part of what's happening is I think a lot of us are. Um, this is
I
very
see
weird.
what's going on. It's on the wrong microphone.
Okay, so yours is different, but I don't know why they're saying mine's low too. Well, if we will fix this real quick so you guys can actually hear us here, but do just a quick favor and double check your volume a little bit to turn it up so that I don't blow your speakers out with my adjustments. Yeah, because mine's gonna break something. That's very
Yeah, it's
weird.
coming through the microphone of my laptop that's off to the side. That's why.
Interesting.
I don't know how to
Well,
switch.
it's nothing like a good Tuesday night with a lot of little tech stuff. So um, let's see.
Oh, right. It says you can't switch mics. You can mute while recording, but you can't switch mics. So we're stuck
Oh,
unless we
interesting.
start again.
Well, I can
It's
stop
fine. I
recording
can
and
move my
restart.
laptop closer to me.
Okay, sounds good. In our and all the good stuff is happening tonight too because it's not sending over to. Okay, good, and I'm still soft. Great. I don't understand that one bit, but I am checking for you guys because these are the same settings always, and I'm in the yellow / almost red.
Yeah, I can hear
Very
you really loud.
interesting. What's that?
I can hear you really loud. Anyway.
Yeah, I can hear you fine too. So that's why I'm just like, anywho, yeah. So cool. So we were talking about yes, can hear better with your mic. Okay, good. All right. Well, thanks everyone for the feedback. Jill said she could hear us well and equally. So one of the things that I think we were sort of summarizing is a lot of times we're like burning out our energy. We're stressed. We're doing a lot of stuff. And it's like we're feeling like we're taking care of ourselves, but we're not managing our energy that well. And then, like you were saying, the crash could be Lyme, it could be parasites, it could be EBV. But in the end, I mean, I think what you really dove down the rabbit hole for is like, where does this actually come from? And that's one of the things I'm always interested in is how do we get the energy to recover? Because some people will give them like a treatment and it works, and we give other people the exact same treatment that should work for the exact same thing and it doesn't. So the question really is, in my mind, like, where are we going with this bioenergetics, and like really what is it in terms of like getting to the root cause of one, our lack of energy, and then how can it help us heal? So like take for example, two people with Lyme disease are obviously unique people. They're very different, and that's what I really think what's so incredible about the energy for life bioenergetics that you're doing and the infoceuticals and all that. So wonder if you could just dive into that a little bit and share with everyone.
I can, and I'm gonna go off base just for fun, which is perfect. Let me share my screen. How about that?
That sounds perfect.
So I'm just screen there. All right. Okay, I'm actually sharing a different talk, not
Oh, there you go.
not the gem one. Okay. Um, Perfect. Yeah. So I'll just explain a little bit about energy itself. So something the company basically does is measure, manage, and master your energy. And so what you can see here, this is a picture of bacteria that are living off pure electrons. Like they're not eating any food. There's no carbohydrates. There's no fat. It's just bacteria living off pure electrons. And ultimately, in your body, when you're looking at the Krebs cycle, in how it makes ATP, the fundamental energy molecule of the body, it's basically working through an electron transfer chain. And the short sort of point of this is basically everything in your body is running off pure electrons. Your mitochondria that is spoken about a lot, they're just basically an extremely rich store of electrons, and not surprisingly, they originate from bacteria that pretty much are just living off electrons. Um, there's some different ways that when you're looking at a cell can build up charge, and it builds up. One of the ways it builds up charge is how infrared ends up entering the cell. It hits what's called hexagonal water, or H3O2 water, and that will spin off an electron that then and those electrons end up getting used in the Krebs cycle and also get stored by the mitochondria. I won't worry about the well. This is just looking at the cell membrane. So you get this charge across the cell membrane, and as you're looking at it overall, you end up with this concept that the body can be an overall battery. Oh, it's going the wrong way. And the most important part of it is when we're looking at the charge across the cell membrane. When there's less than 50 millivolts across the membrane, basically that's associated with all the chronic disease that you can think of. If it's less than 40 millivolts, you basically have cancer and you'll die. So you don't have enough. You don't have enough energy to basically to stop growth, and the control systems of the body go totally haywire. But less than 50, most severe diseases exist. Between minus and 50 and 70, you're susceptible to disease. So that's when you have all these different symptoms, like being tired, or having the shakes, brain fog, etc., etc. So between 70 and 90, you're basically healthy. If you're above 90, you're a bit like Tom, and you're a super athlete who never gets tired. And most of us are probably somewhere between 60 and 80. Like we have symptoms, but we're relatively healthy. But of course, if you're sick, you're going to be somewhere near that 50 millivolt mark, and so that's really what we want to avoid. And every single cell needs energy. It's totally essential for detoxification, waste removal. So like all of these things, when we're you want a supplement or a product or a protocol for detoxification, etc., well, the most fundamental currency is actually energy. If you've got enough energy, detoxification and waste removal happens by itself. Also, the cells will produce enough of their own antioxidants. Your metabolism is optimal, etc. So the key thing is to have efficient energy. All right, I just wanted to explain that energy piece that was in a different deck. I'm going to switch to this one. Can you see the new one now?
Not yet, I don't think. I see efficient energy with the person sitting cross-legged. Is that the right one?
Do you see that? Okay, I will.
There you go. Now we're back to just you. So then, if you reshare the new one, it should work.
Yeah, I should reshare the new one.
And I think it's so interesting when you start to think about that energy as sort of that fundamental piece here of health, because you're looking at it and you're like, oh, in the background, like it's not just where you're at today, but it's almost like where's your battery at, And I mean, I think that if I might be at a higher level than somebody else, and so many of us are comparing each other and our healing to other folks. So when you look at this, it's just we see where we can learn how to focus on, cultivating our energy and why we might have a different response than other people.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so here's sort of the next question that comes from that is why on earth does your energy go low? Now there's a couple of steps to this, but one, ultimately your energy is going low because you're not using energy efficiently in the body, and then the question comes, well, why does that happen? And so you basically have this overall energy control systems. In some terms, it's called the body field. Sometimes it's called the biofield. But this is basically the fields of the body that are basically able to control all of your metabolism, how energy works in the body. And the most significant part of that, of where it goes wrong, is basically negative emotions. So just some examples of that. So people who've experienced trauma in childhood, they have an increased risk of 7 out of 10 of the top 10 causes of death, and they have, maybe the more important parts, they have a 20-year reduction in lifespan. So, we can talk about chain smoking. Smoking, I think, reduces lifespan by, I think it's 12 years. But it's far more significant having trauma in childhood. That actually reduces your lifespan by 20 years. Now, more than 67% of adults, that's most of us, have experienced at least one adverse childhood event. Now, the good thing is you can reverse trauma, and obviously that's part of what we're doing here. But if you don't do anything about it, it does reduce your lifespan. And there's been studies that have linked them, to higher rates of heart disease, diabetes, all these different health conditions. So, and really, the main thing that you want to do about it is help overcome any patterns of negative and suppressed emotions that you have. Now, you might think, well, what on earth do we have emotions for if they're so damn awful for us? So, in the end, they are completely essential. Negative emotions do have a good use, because they actually enhance your survival. In short, because they help conserve energy. And again, if I go back to energy is the most important currency for health and life. And really, everything that's going on, you could, in your life and in your body, you can put in terms of how it's conserving energy. So, for example, like if there's a threat, and anger's a great one. So, if there's a threat, dogs are I quite like using dogs as an example. So, like, my dog is very sweet, but she's also quite ferocious. And if another dog comes up that looks like a threat, she's going to bark, she's going to bare her teeth. So she's expressing her boundary. If she didn't do that, she might get gobbled up by the bigger dog. So it's helped her survival. Now, and once she's gone, that dog's gone away, and she's back back at home. She shakes it off, and she's not repressing that anger. It doesn't matter. It's just a short expression. So short expressions of negative emotions are great because they just help us respond appropriately. But of course, what happens in modern society, we're all taught that expressing anger and putting up our boundaries is not a good thing, or like we don't like doing it. We're embarrassed about it. We're shy about it. We have self-worth issues, etc. So we avoid it. But of course, that anger is still there. We basically repress it. So, and it's really the repression and the continuation of negative emotions that are just running through our head that are the damaging things. The actual expression of it is generally can be quite good when it's for those short-term boundary type situations. Why does it lead to chronic stress? One, you've got excess, obviously produces excess cortisol, so you've got elevated cortisol production. That will suppress your immune system, disrupt metabolic functions. It impacts your brain function, reduces all your cognitive functions, affects memory, and obviously it also has all of these other health effects, because high cortisol means high sugar levels, and that means inflammation, cardiovascular, diabetes, etc. Now, it's not on this slide, but it's really it's actually a bigger thing. It's because in our terms of the body field, or from a bioenergetic point of view, it's also distorting your whole control system in itself. So it's actually making the use of energy, of all forms of energy, basically how electrons flow through the body, more more inefficient, and that that's even more damaging than the sort of conventional biochemistry approaches. But it's nice to just to show the biochemistry, just so people understand it more easily. Um, Now, these are just some studies, just linking different types of conditions. So, if you have a particular type of condition, I haven't done it for Lyme disease. It would be interesting to do. Maybe Tom knows the answer. But for example, when you look at all of the patient population of ALS patients, they have a lot of difficulty asking for help. Sorry, I'm coughing. I just flew back from Argentina. I got a slight cold. Anyway, and so yeah, they all have that commonality of it's difficult to asking for help, or for example, with prostate cancer, not surprisingly, that's linked to repressed anger and failure to establish healthy boundaries. Without getting too rude, you can imagine why. But anyway, so
Well, if I could just throw something in really quickly, Harry. I mean, I think that two things from like for the folks who follow us in kind of that chronic infection world and chronic mold exposure. One thing with the ALS people that really just you made me think of is like sometimes like it's even now I'm dealing with my mom with her Parkinson's getting worse is a lot of people lose their identity, they lose their ability to do things on their own, and like being able to ask for help back especially like when my mother was a kid was a sign of weakness. You helped others, you didn't ask for help hardly ever. So but we have a lot of people who have these great jobs. They're being parents, and now they can barely take care of their kids. They can barely even make a sandwich sometimes. Like, I mean, I'm
I
sure
know
back in the
it happened
wheelchair
to
days,
me. No, I mean it happened to me. I was all completely independent. Had left home, did 3 years at university, and then I ended up back stuck at home without being able to do anything. I mean, for me, I think Lyme is very similar to chronic fatigue, but it's that feeling of losing your freedom. For me, a big word is freedom. Like, so that's actually why the company's called Energy for Life, because I basically lost my freedom in those early years. So the whole company is there to help people get their energy for life back. So they get you get your freedom and get all of your choices back. But it's a massive thing, to say the least. Yeah. Smoking. I mentioned smoking earlier. I just love this. I just love this example. So it was a study done by Yale University for 10 years, and there were 40 times higher incidence of lung cancer in the smokers who repressed anger. And they basically scored everyone. But anyway, those who got a score of 11. And in fact, when it says 40 times higher, it's actually simpler. When there was a low repression of anger, there was no lung cancer whatsoever. And in the ones who had high anger scores, they all got cancer. So you don't even have to worry about 40 times. And that, it does beg a massive question, because I was blown away when I read this, because I was like, well, I've led my whole life thinking smoking is the cause of lung cancer, and it is the cause of lung cancer. Yet this study shows it's not. It's actually repressed. It's repressed anger, and it's a little bit more subtle. It's combining the toxicity of the smoke with the anger. And basically, if you don't have anger, your body's automatic repairing and detoxification pathways work efficiently. So it's back to that energy efficiency. When they work efficiently, your lung tissue doesn't accumulate all the junk, and so you can actually handle smoking. And but if it's not, you end up with lung cancer. So it's really both. But basically, you're getting genetic damage from the smoking, and because of the repression of emotions, it's failing to genetically repair you, and then that's why you end up with cancer. And it applies to all disease. I should look up what Lyme disease is. It'd be really interesting what the emotional correspondence is to it. I'm not going to worry about this bit. yeah, but yeah, the most important thing really is to transform your negative emotions, because that helps you conserve energy. Then you're able to detoxify toxins. You're able to be more resilient, able to reduce stress, enhance your well-being. Um, and then we get to the sort of answer of it. So as I say, I mean, we'd made all these other inventions. Well, like this is another one for this is like a handheld device for repairing tissue and pain in our practitioner world. But like, I really wanted to work out, basically, really work out a device that will help that core issue that we had when we were 20, which was mismanaging our energy and emotions, and that's this thing here. Well, it's easier on the slide. And the core thing that this does, it'll basically detect and correct both your energy and emotions, and it does it in quite a few different ways. So if you take like an Aura or a Whoop or any of these other wearables, or I guess they started with Fitbits that were just looking at heart rate, then Aura and Whoop started looking at heart rate variability, and that's interesting. But the insight that we had was that none of them are looking at the shape of your overall pulse. And in traditional Chinese medicine, there's 13 different TCM pulses that we can identify, that we can look at, and those pulses give you really good indicators as to what's happening emotionally to you, both in that moment in time, but also the last 24 hours, because we average them all out. So, for example, if we got pictures of it, yeah, there's a picture. So you can see like the first picture, that's the shape of a normal pulse. And then the second picture is a picture of a slippery pulse. Now, a slippery pulse is phlegm, damp, food stagnation, spleen. But from an emotional point of view, it's basically showing anxiety. And then the positive side of it would be faith. So it's basically giving you information that knows you're being anxious in that moment, and reminding you to have more faith, to basically have faith in the future, which basically transforms that negative emotion. I'll go backwards a bit. But yeah, anyway, what else?
If I could throw something in too, like one of the things that's always interesting to me is there's always different everybody's trying to do some energetics and healing Lyme disease and other things. And what I found is like, for me, it's got to be reproducible, it's got to be functional, it's got to make sense, and it's got to lead to improvements. And a couple people here probably heard me tell this story before, but like one point, our daughter was flying back to see one of her best friends, for her birthday party. They were like 11, and because of weather where she was flying, they ended up canceling flights for the 2 days when she could have been there for the party. And then ended up being like missing it, was really kind of gutted by the whole thing. And we went out and did an Energy for Life scan. And what we found was some stuff we would expect, but then we really clearly saw this loss and this, like, the experience of the acute trauma of missing out on something that at that point in your life was so huge. And so the understanding that she had that loss, and we were able to pick it up on the technology and then use infoceuticals, as well as know that we need to support in that way emotionally, it made sense. And this is what I've seen like in our clinical practice when we do voice scans. And now we have the ability to actually do real, you don't need me. It's something you can actually do yourself at home. But we've found that
It's
people
cheap.
are
It's
reading
cheaper
the
than Tom
results.
as well.
What's that?
It's cheaper than Tom as well.
Yes, that's also true. but the thing is, it's just like, what's so cool about it is, to a T, every single person I've had do a voice scan is like, oh my God, I can't believe you can figure that out about me. That describes me very precisely. And a lot of times you're able to find that little sticking point that's burning all your energy up. It's where you're using the energy to show up as at the best you can, and to be able to not only detect it, but then to correct it. and not have to have a provider even involved is pretty cool, because a lot of people don't have that opportunity. And then what if you're on the healing? This is the other thing we see all the time, Harry, is people are healing. They're moving in the right direction, and then they sort of crash, and you're like, well, why'd they crash? And it's like they had the right sort of external protocol, but that inner energy, looking at your body battery just wasn't done. So that's what's so exciting. So I just wanted to throw that in, that like clinically we've seen this stuff just work so well for people. And I think that that's one of the things, is there's a bunch of stuff out there, and then there's stuff that really works. And this is what
Well,
our
it's
experience
a
in our
very
family practice.
simple concept. Ultimately, it's your body is exchanging energy with the environment all of the time. When you're sick, your use of energy has become inefficient, and the whole thing that we want to do is help make your body use energy more efficiently, but also give you awareness of where you're losing your energy and when your energy is low. Because when it's lower, you do actually need to rest. You do, and there are certain things, whether it's like breath work, walking slowly outside, meditating, resting, massage, that will help regenerate your energy, that you really should focus on that day to allow the energy to to rebuild. And absolutely, like every time, the more, and it takes time, but over time you can transform negative emotions to the more, and a lot of it is you don't actually know, like, okay, when you're anxious, well, shit, what do I do about that? Well, it's actually having faith in the future. And I trust me, I know how difficult it is, because I was stuck in a room, really, really sick myself. But having faith that, well, when you're sick and don't have movement, like having faith that you won't actually be like that in 6 months or a year, is hugely helpful, but also it's very, very healthful, and it basically compounds over time. As you start transforming those emotions, when to rest and not to rest. I mean, the biggest thing I always did wrong, I even did it a little bit yesterday. I went biking with Tom yesterday, after a big hike the day before, after flying for 20 hours, and probably I should have had a day off, and I wasn't necessarily managing my energy appropriately. But it's the more you do that over time, any other therapy that you're doing is just going to work better, because you're managing your overall energy and emotions. That's really what this device has been designed to do. I mean, this is just a screenshot. So in this case, you can see your energy score, your emotional strength, your sleep, but you can also see your main emotional pattern is repressed grief. It tells you which meridians are related to that. And then, because what it's also doing, which I haven't even got into, it's also sending in a corrective signal that will basically inform your body field. In other words, your body's energetic control system, to then to optimize your body's use of energy. Actually, well, so we've got a whole partnership that happens at University of San Diego, California. So we've had, I think I had a few research there, either 3 or 4 years. I'm trying to remember now. Yeah, I met in 2021, so I guess that's 4 years ago. And what you can see here, we ran all these culture studies where we were just looking at mitochondria, and because we wanted to increase the amount of mitochondria in a cell, so we basically imprinted the cell with what we call cell driver, but it's basically, I'll show you on this device. On the back of the device, there's a small PMF coil behind, and then there's basically photon emitters there, and that basically can transfer information to the body. And then we also put these next to the tissue cultures, and we could increase the mitochondrial density by 50%, increase the efficiency of them using sugar by 25%, meaning we got 25% more energy out for the same amount of glucose in the growth medium that they were fed with. And then there's a whole ton of other that aren't in this deck. There's a whole other ton of different studies that we've done. Like we've looked at viral penetration rates into lung tissue and reduced those by 45%. Protected cells from ROS damage, like reactive oxygen species. Basically, we would poison the cell with hydrogen peroxide, but you could protect the cells by 67% when they'd been imprinted compared to the controls. And so, anyway, long and short, what this device is doing. So it's reading all of your pulses and all of your movement, all your sleep, etc., in real time. Tom was describing the voice technology. I haven't actually put voice into this, but we will have the voice technology in this device by the end of the year. And then from that, it's basically doing a full analysis. It'll coach you back. It'll coach you. You can ask the AI in the app, basically anything about it, and it'll help coach you back to better energy, emotions, and health. But then it's also correcting and giving you the right information based on its readings, and it's doing that 24/7. So that's pretty. It's a pretty revolutionary device, to say the least. Anyway, yeah. What else are they going to say about it? Well, anyway, we'll see you end up with. It says here increased energy, health, mental clarity, blah blah blah. But in the end, because managing your energy and emotions is so core to disease and overcoming disease. I mean, obviously, ultimately, you can get your health back. I wouldn't make a direct claim to any disease or Lyme disease, but what I would say is when you're able to optimize your energy and how your body uses energy, and you're able to transform your emotional state, you have what was that study in the lung cancer one? 40 times, right? You'll be 40 times more likely to heal your disease. So you could say that. So pretty significant. But yeah.
Yeah. I think it's incredible because to me, like, one is so many people are spending so much energy just trying to get better, and they're doing their best to focus on it, but sometimes they can't. And here you have the ability to, yes, I should spend the mindfulness, I should do the gratitude, but some days I'm just really like overwhelmed, and I have an ability here to real time correct and support my body where it needs to be, even if I mentally can't get there, as long as I'm able to wear the
Yeah,
device.
I was thinking that, something that would be helpful maybe for people is, so when I was really, really sick, I was very focused on the symptoms of, like, finding the right herb or magic thing to kill the virus or the parasite and all that. And I did all that for years and didn't get anywhere. And it wasn't until, I guess I was 25, 26 at the time, but it was this insight to focus on the optimal of how things are when basically when they're working better, and the positive that actually got me out of being sick. And I'm not going to say it's easy. It's super hard. But for me, that was that was the catalyst that got me out of that. And that's obviously this whole philosophy of what we're doing with the gem here and in Energy for Life. I mean, it's basically based around that idea. If you focus on what's healthy, if you focus on conserving and rebuilding your energy over time, if you focus on better habits, if you focus on the more positive states, and you're in a family, and like you want your husband or your wife or whoever to do XYZ because you're exhausted. I know what it's like. I was there as a son to my mother, but like just transforming that and just doing little positive things, and the things that you do enjoy. Like there are activities that you can do in these like lower energy suppressed states that are enjoyable, and you just do, you do more of those over time, and then suddenly you look back and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so different than a year ago, and you're like, it can be a miracle. So anyway, but that's really what our whole sort of philosophy is
Well,
is set around. Well, it's set
and
around
I,
restoring your energy for life, basically.
right. Well, I think part of what you're saying too is it's compound interest, right? It's like
It's
if you
compound.
start with
Yeah.
little steps today, like I'm not going to say that the gem is going to like cure Lyme either, but I think based on my experience personally with being misdiagnosed for 8 years and taking another 6+ to get better, and Harry's experience with being wheelchair bound from chronic fatigue, I mean, we're two people who are now, we still have to manage our energy, but we've got energy, we've got cognitive function, like everything's back. But it's because we did the little things and then the big things, and then we did a lot of little things over time that really added up to that tsunami of positive compound interest. So that's what I love about the gem is like it's going to do some of the things for me that are the hardest for me to regulate myself. And on some days when I get too caught up in, today's modern world, I might forget my practice or to spend that gratitude time. I've got a reminder, but also a tool to help me, to the next level. And I think, Harry, one of the other things too, I've said this to you and a bunch of people in our Samara method group all the time is like, you know, I have an Aura ring. I kind of switched over to a Whoop because I can wear it when I'm exercising, and it's good and it measures stuff. And then it says, hey, if you want to improve your sleep, sleep more. And like the problem
Yeah,
I've
it's not
always
very
had,
actionable. It's not very
yes,
actionable.
exactly. That's
Yeah,
been the
I
challenge,
mean,
right?
well, yeah, no, I say I mean, with ours, it corrects in real time, like 24/7, and B, and this is a work in progress because the whole AI revolution is really hitting all of us this year. So, um, within the app, there's obviously there's an AI chatbot. That's going to get better and better over time. Our vision for that is combining voice, combining the wearable data. You'll be able to upload. If you've got blood results from Tom, you can upload them, etc., and really query it, and it'll recommend better habits. That's a more of a long term game plan. Like we've got some early AI, but to get it to be absolutely magical is a work in progress because yeah, literally AI's hit us all like a brick this year. So we're all catching up, but yeah.
I think it's amazing, like that, like, we have this technology already, and we're already saying that this is just the starting point, right? This is like first level, or next level, but we already see where it's going, and the changes, like, I mean, I still can't believe that we can correct things in real time, and it can be completely personalized. It's not like, hey, do a gratitude practice or breathing before bed and then you're left on your own. It's literally like it's correcting you.
Actually, the thing I haven't even mentioned this. So, we're doing recordings with Barry Goldstein, who did all the meditations with Joe. And so there's yes. Anyway, we've got there's personalized meditations in there to your basically to your readings. So it'll basically take you through those different organs, different emotional states, and you can visualize the information and light going into those organs being healed, and also transforming those emotional states. And you can come up in your mind with any of the causes, how you can transform them in your head to the more positive state, and it's all personalized to you. So that's another feature we're working on. But I mean, that bit won't be out next month because it's a whole massive musical project to get it all to line up properly. But that's in motion.
Awesome. So yeah, like you were just alluding to, so the technology has been around forever. It's being moved into this wearable part, and then it's out next month.
Yeah, basically. I mean, there's a few. Yeah, there's like 150 of them today. There's 850 being made right now. They're all ready next month. Yeah, it's going to be 400. It's going to be $400, but because we have to wait I think you have to wait 5 weeks for it to turn up. So there's $50 off for basically for Tom, um, and and it and it's sort of done in two parts. There's the device where basically all the detection stuff that you expect from the TCM pulse and everything you get in an Aura and Whoop. That's basically all included in the device. And if you want to give yourself more energy or relax or sleep, you basically just operate it on the app. But if you want everything like fully automated and personalized to your pulse data, so it's just working 24/7. Plus it'll include all those personalized meditations and all the the other things that we're creating, plus like the AI and all of that. That's 24. That's basically 24 a month. And I just found out today, I think one query to AI literally costs us I think it costs like it'll cost us $1 a day, just the AI stuff per.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it's not even yeah, it might anyway. That's just the price of where AI is today. But
Right.
we're assuming it will drop. It will drop over time. But anyway, that's on us.
I think one thing too, to me, is like we're constantly getting things that are not customizable. They're not personalized, and even if they're customizable to a degree, someone's changing a few settings or telling you what to do in a protocol, but it's not like real time you. And that's the part that I've always loved about the whole project, seeing it unfold over years, using the other technology in our practice, and having the opportunity to see the prototypes, and looking forward to our whole family being able to do this. Is like when you go back to those adverse childhood events, they're, like you said, they're happening. It's like if we don't work on them, that's where we have the problem.
Well,
It's not to
it's
say.
really important to get awareness during the day, because
Mhm.
it'll basically come up and it'll show you that repressed emotion, or not even repressed, the one that's expressing. Um, and yeah, the more awareness you have, I mean, A, it's correcting it, but B, just having the awareness, and then you can choose to listen to a meditation to overcome it. But and even without meditations, literally just being conscious of it and just changing your daily habit, rather than like express that that negativity to your partner. You're like, oh shit, yeah,
Well, in a constructive way, and
yeah.
sometimes we don't have the energy behind it. So to me, like even like with some of the other devices you have that transmit, like you were showing earlier, the My Health, sometimes I'll just turn it on like right next to me to get that balanced energy like throughout the day. So I think that the concept of being able to have it, find it, and then the other part that no one's doing except you, that I know of, is you're not only doing all the normal wearable stuff, but you're doing the emotional health. And this is the thing that I see people getting so stuck in and with, is if they address body, mind, and spirit, so to speak, but not just the physical, and not just looking for energy, but looking at not only kind of the physical energy, which is really truly not separated from emotional or spiritual energy. But for sake of conversation, if we focus solely on those external markers, we're missing some of the most important supports of our immune system. And that's really where I think a lot of people get different results with the Energy for Life technology than I've ever seen, because we're supporting them in all areas of energy, not just like trying to take a supplement to jack up our adrenals or to just, get through the day like an energy drink. We're actually addressing essentially root cause and flow of energy through the body.
Yep.
So
I'll stop sharing so I can see questions, because
yeah. If anybody has any questions, let us know. One of the things I really wanted to bring Harry on tonight for is to share something a little bit different. So especially on those times where you want to do that investment to get the compound interest over time in your energy, sometimes we're feeling so sick we don't have the ability to do all these other things. So dive in there. You have this opportunity to really be addressing things even when you're super exhausted. So
Perfect.
cool. I don't see any
No,
questions.
great question. I mean, is it PMF? I mean,
Oh,
it
is
does
it?
have a PMF transmitter in it, but it's not. Um, the PMF is the delivery mechanism. It's information that's actually the key. So basically, we're delivering information using photons and PMF.
Cool.
All good.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if we have any other questions. Please feel free to drop them in the chat. I know there's a little delay in getting that there. Um, yeah, and I think having a $6,000 PEMF pad that eventually had to have the wires all reworked on, and a hyperbaric chamber, and all these other things, they all have their place, and we use them. But I'm just like, I really want to get you guys in front of technology that can help you, no matter what state you're at, high or low. And that's the beauty of it, because we're all managing our energy at all the time. Like, I mean, if you hang out with Harry, he's not in a wheelchair anymore. He's doing all these amazing things, but he still
Definitely
mentioned
not.
he does need to manage his energy. And same for me. I mean, it's like I might be the Energizer Bunny in some respects, but there's certainly energy to be balanced and managed. And I think that that's what I see so much with our chronically ill people. So I hope that the information is very helpful. Oh, let's see. I scrolled down. Um, I have an adult
Yeah,
daughter.
well, the subscription is the subscription, yes. Well, when you say up, I mean hardware. The hardware won't upgrade for a long time. Software always upgrades, and that's always free. I mean
Yep,
that's
that's included, right?
yeah.
So Barb was asking, said, I have an adult daughter with autism and pandas. I could see this really helping her, but not sure if she would wear it all the time. Do you have any insights on for that? And I guess for me, it's two questions. One is, will people wear it? And maybe the other side of the coin is, how much would you say you might need to wear it to see the results if you couldn't wear it all the time?
I mean, it'd be good if they can wear it like a third of the day for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's designed. It's designed. I mean, it's designed to be. It's designed to be worn by the time you're recharging it with a battery. Recharging
Right.
it. But yeah,
And like I
I don't
always
know.
say
Like, would
too,
you rip it off or something? I don't know what pandas is actually. What's
oh,
pandas?
that's it's a pediatric. It's a type of pediatric acute onset neuropsychiatric syndrome. So and the pandas is just because it's from strep. So it's essentially an infection triggered autoimmune brain inflammation that leads to these behavioral challenges. And I think one of the things with our autistic kids is there is a lot of sensory stuff that they can, sensory hyper irritability at times, sometimes, so if we have these sensory issues, sometimes we do need to take a bit of a break. And like, I'll wear mine a lot, um, you know when I'm out being active, and when I'm relaxing, sometimes I do feel like my skin needs a little break, but not much. Like Harry said, mostly just
I mean,
charging.
it's an interesting thought. I hadn't thought of it, but maybe, maybe we can, maybe we can code it so that it's like if people do only wear it a few hours a day, all the treatments are done in that time period. That is theoretically possible. I hadn't thought about it before you asked the question. But that's because it's new to the market.
Yeah, it's a great question though, because I mean that's the thing, is if we can get it into these, obviously the entire world needs this right now. Work on some of our unprocessed emotions a little more constructively, but for our community of people who do have sensory issues and stuff, I think we'll learn a lot. The thing I like too is like the lights don't really seem to be bothersome, and the PEMF, and so much of it's so gentle. Like you'll see like like we've tested animals and treated animals, and with other parts of the technology, and they kind of like migrate towards it. I mean,
Hey
so
Tom, did you check the link, by the way? Did you ever click on the link? Someone says,
Uh,
"Is it necessary to have a practitioner's website? Also, you want to see something?" I'm just hoping Matt didn't give you a BWS link.
mine goes to this page. I'll just share real quick to everybody. I think this is the right one.
But no, you don't need a practitioner. No.
No, you should just be able to just
Yeah,
you.
you just order it. Just say no. You
Absolutely.
don't want to see someone to that question. I actually haven't attempted to buy it myself. I don't always know what our
Yep.
team does, to be honest. And
Uh,
sorry, the cost. Basically, so it's $350 to buy it. It does all the detection side, so everything to do with working out your emotions, sleep, movement, HRV, etc. You can also, if you want to, like, give yourself an energy boost, a calm boost, peace boost, then you just press a button on the app. But if you want it to be reading and correcting 24 hours a day, the AI features, meditations, that's subscription. So it works without the subscription, but if you want all of those other features, that's a subscription.
so essentially, you can go into the app, see where you're at, and then kind of manually choose that treatment. But if you want that real time 24-hour day thing, that's where you get the kind of the add on.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh yeah, that definitely. It sounds like somebody had to copy and paste for sure. I mean that sometimes the chats function well and not. So cool. Glad we got that straightened away, and thanks for sharing that you were able to copy and paste it so everybody else knows how to do it. Um, Yeah. Oh, and Catherine said she just did a voice scan. It's fascinating. I'm always blown away that like whether I use the put my hand on the hand device or I do the voice scan or you grab the gem, it's like, how is this stuff even that accurate? But that's the beauty of like looking at like all this deep dive in research. And one of the things that you guys do, Harry, is like, I typed a little comment in there, but like you're doing the research to show what you believe and clinically are seeing is happening is actually happening rather than
Well,
just,
it's actually the
you know,
reverse. I mean, well, yeah, but so like I didn't want to come out with that device unless the research showed what it did. So like we started the research 4 years ago to prove it in cell cultures. Um, well, as a whole, there's a massive backstory. Like actually, I'm trying to think. But it's a whole thing. But like first, I hired a data scientist to work out the pulse thing. We made sure that worked. That was 2 years. We had the research done at UCSD, so I knew that bit would work. And then that's after that, then we're like, okay, well then we can make a wearable. We didn't make a wearable and then do research on the wearable to prove it. We did research to
mm-hmm.
look at the individual components, and then we're like, okay, now we can make a product out of that. So no,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, just in my field, everybody slaps the word Lyme on it and or something about that and they just sell it without having that science background. And as a scientist who knows and believes in bioenergetics, I know there's science to be done. So I'm just, really wanted to highlight the fact that, a lot goes into making sure what you're doing and what you're saying and claiming, and even a lot of what you're not allowed to claim, but we know works. That's the thing. It works. And I always get back to my litmus test is like, what do I use in my own family? I mean,
I'm
I
just
think that's
buying
really
a
the
gem
thing.
myself. I don't see where it says like you have to. Do you want to see a practitioner? I've just got a normal
I don't see it
checkout.
on mine either. I just checked
A
that
normal
out.
checkout. Anyway,
But
maybe it's just the general website someone went to by accident.
yeah,
Energy.
cool. And if there's any issues, just reach out and
Tom
we'll
will
make sure
text
that
me.
we get.
and Tom will
What's that?
text me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll give you guys our direct support line if you are interested. You have any issues or questions, just send an email there. And then there was a question about when it will be
Do you mean the
available,
gem or
Harry.
the voice scan? The voice scan stuff all exists. That's a whole. Well, today if you're a patient, you see a practitioner. But Tom has the voice scan in his practice, so that's
Yep.
I would
And
just
anybody in our Samara Method group has access to that. I can share that with them as well. So if
I
anyone in the
mean,
group is
say if it's the
interested,
gem, it's available. It just won't get delivered till first week of July, something. Yeah, I think it's first week of July.
okay. So pre-orders, shipping for first week of July is what it looks like. As long as we don't have any, other things pop
Yeah.
up in the rest of the world.
Oh no, it's fine. It's being made
You
in
got it here.
Indonesia. It's not being made in China. We're all right. We're all right on that.
Right.
Yeah,
Cool.
it was one of the countries that doesn't have a.
No
It
tariffs.
has. It has. Well, it has the 10% tariff, but it has zero tariffs into Indonesia. It's not one of
Cool.
the countries that Trump is battling with. I'll leave it at that.
Good to know.
Don't
Well,
get
that's
Tom
good to
started
know.
on Trump because he hates him.
Yeah. Cool. Other thoughts or questions that anybody has? Want to make sure if you have any questions about bioenergetics, the voice scan, the gem. Cute dog's name Avi. We talked about dogs and cats and snakes in our group a lot, so make sure that everybody has a chance to get that answered.
There's Avi.
Oh, hi Avi. She's a
Avi.
sweetie.
No, not going to react.
Yeah, so a little bit different kind of feel for some of the stuff that we're doing, but I wanted to really get you guys in front of, get Harry in front of you, share some of this information and let you understand the science behind it, how it's changing, what we do. And like I said, for anyone like Catherine who's done a voice scan and seen what the technology can do, it's pretty amazing. And to be able to essentially take me out of the equation or a health coach or someone you need to work with and really be able to do this at home, it's pretty incredible. And like, if you look at a Whoop, the cost is almost the same and you have to pay it all the time. Here you get the device and you can just use it and you get the upgrades on the app. And then if you want to do that real time, then you've got that, the monthly, but you heard all the AI and all the cool stuff going into it. So, but anyway, I just wanted to make sure that you were like on the cutting edge of seeing and hearing what was coming out to actually revolutionize and change the way people heal, because so many people, it's really not time management. It's not, the next greatest diet or new antibiotic. It's really energy management. And between the awareness and then the action that you can take, even at the baseline, this is just going to be a huge game changer. And I mean, we've been talking about it for a couple of years now, and it's just like been the thing that I've been so excited for. And like I said, seeing the prototypes and seeing the actual devices that are coming out and just, touching up some of the tech behind it, like Harry said, to make sure when you get it, it's like the best it can be. And then there's still already have the bar raised for the next level of upgrades in the software, just incredible. And wanted you guys to be the first to know about it.
Yep.
Let's see. Oh. It says at the bottom, work with your practitioner.
Yeah, I
At the
just
bottom.
read the bottom of the gem page. I don't see that, but I'm gonna.
I'm seeing
I think it
this.
must be the homepage. The homepage would do that.
Yep. This is what I'm seeing, everybody, just so you're aware. On the, if you click the link, go to the link that I shared. Yep. You go here. And then if you just click one of the pre-order buttons, then it goes to that page and you should be all set, it looks like. I don't know. Maybe it says it on here, but we know that you can just go straight through. Cool.
Websites. Ugh.
Yep. Look, don't you love tech? Cool. Let's see.
Websites.
Can you
Made
feel
this in a year's
hyper
time.
from doing too much of it, Harry?
Guess what?
It says, can you feel hyper from doing too much with the gem?
Well, it's all personalized and automatic because it's reading. Well, if assuming you're getting the subscription, but I'll explain it another way. So, like a caffeine, chocolate, any of those, a chemical stimulant works by obviously stimulating and overdriving your adrenals, etc. This isn't what we're doing here. What we're doing here is making your energy flow more efficient, so you can actually use less energy but have a higher output, if that makes sense. So basically, we're conserving energy, not stimulating energy. So I
And
guess.
and I don't know if I'm correct, Harry, but I've always said it's like a lot of times when we're getting the readings, we're seeing like how energy is efficiently flowing. And some people like on a voice scan will come up with love or whatever or gratitude, and they're like, I'm super grateful. But I'm like, but maybe you're using a ton of energy to show up that way. It's almost like you're working through those old trauma patterns in the background. And so I've always really felt like what you just said, the looking at it as energy flow and optimal communication in the body and flow of energy. So you're
About making
doing
energy
more with less
more efficient.
energy.
You're making your use of energy to be more efficient. Because you don't want to stimulate when you're trying to conserve energy. Like stimulating doesn't heal. Bar maybe a coffee enema, like that has a use case for detoxifying the liver, but that's about the only use of a stimulant I would ever recommend.
Cool. Well, other questions. Homepage looks great. Oh.
Yeah. Do you ship to Australia?
It was
Yeah, I
it
do.
was the main
I actually have a
homepage. Okay.
company. I have a whole company in Australia. So yes,
Okay.
we have practitioners in Australia, pharmaceuticals, my health, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Lisa's done
We have an office
some
in
other stuff with us and done some voice
Melbourne.
scans.
Yeah, we've got an office in Melbourne or near Melbourne somewhere.
Cool. Alrighty. Well, I think we've got most of those things. If there's anything else, I'll look through the chat and make sure we get them answered for people. But I think we're good.
I mean, testimonials from clients that had heme screening device. So it's a 24-year-old company. So this device are in pharmaceuticals. Literally thousands upon thousands of testimonials we've seen. I believe we've done like 4 million scans, seen 400,000 patients, something like that. But yeah, you could go to our YouTube or website, and they're all over that. This device, because it's brand new to market, we've basically done the research at UCSD. It's in a clinical trial with humans at the moment. That won't get published for another 2 months. I can't give you my testimony because you won't believe me because I invented it. But basically, it's the same. It's the same. If I go back to when we were saying an hour and a bit ago, so I met the scientists from Australia who've been mapping out the information and energy of the human body. That map of the body field, it's the same information that we use in this device that's basically miniaturized this thing here. So there's 24 years of if you go to if you go to e4l.com, there's a research menu, and on there are all I think there's like 14 different trials and things we've done on all our different technologies. So you can see it for everything previous to this, but in the end it's the same. This is just a miniature version. Then another 3-4 months there'll be tons of testimonials. But what I can say, honestly, if you can do one of two things, you could either buy it, and if you don't think it works, well, I'll definitely give you your money back. And then two, you could always wait until you hear what everyone else has done, but then you don't get $50 off. So anyway,
Yeah, and
but
for me, it's like I'm all in because again, it's like the sooner you get these things rolling, the better. And that's the other thing though. Like this is like a curated conversation. It's just not this random person that I don't know. I mean, we've been talking about I've known about this coming into fruition for years now, and like the research, and I know the researchers who are doing the research for Harry and see the publications, and they're the same people. At least part of the research has been done by the people who are doing research with Joe Dispenza on meditation and distance healing. So these are people who specialize in this in particular, and they're also publishing these things. And I mean, how many times do you say, hey, there's a thing coming to market that's already in a clinical trial to see how it works in people so that we can get it right out? I mean, this is like the high level of, ethics and sort of, medical morality, if you will. It's just like so many people are just putting something out there because it sounds cool. This is, like Harry said, look at the research, make sure what we think is going to happen is doable. It's working now. Let's put it all together on top of a foundation of a 24-year history of proven results. So, good stuff. Really excited for this. So, any last questions from anybody before we chill? And one other reminder, we will get the replay up onto our YouTube channel shortly. I might try to get it up tonight. We'll see how that works.
I think if you opt in on our site, there'll be a webinar. Like, just pretend you want to be a practitioner. There'll be a webinar for a practitioner, and that has all the research and case studies in a webinar there.
Cool.
Look at it that way. But anyway, but good point. And this is actually the first webinar we've ever done for the gem. And it's because it's Tom. But otherwise, basically, I'm not doing any other webinars for another 6 weeks till it's totally out. So we don't normally do like a pre-sale. So this isn't normal.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you making the time to do it. I mean, like I said to everybody,
hence generally there's total money back guarantees and all that stuff. It probably doesn't say on the website, but literally, Tom's my best friend round the corner, and if you want your money back, he will just text me and you'll get it back. So don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, and like I said, like everybody, the Lyme Awareness Month, I mean, last year we did, like many, many years before, did this huge deep dive into like symptoms, how you get it, the bacteria, the treatments. But even with all that information and more doctors and patients learning about Lyme and the right treatments, people are still sick and people are still challenged, or they're doing really well and they crash. And that's why this month we're going through the fascial treatments in a way that no one's probably ever seen before. We talked with Arturo last week, the crazy healing stuff, and then brought Harry in today to show you a different approach, because a lot of us need different tools. And so I think it's really, really helpful to have. And then just remember this Thursday, 2 days, May 29th at 7:30 Eastern, I'm going to be doing a live healing session. Very quick intro, a little bit about my story. A lot of you have heard it. I'm not going to belabor it, but I want to share a little bit of the journey I went on and then how I've coalesced that into a particular system now. And we're going to have a really good time with that on Thursday as well. So, yeah. Let's see.
Catherine, I don't. Are you a practice? If you're a client, I would just recommend seeing one of our practitioners for the interpretation of that voice scan. It's a whole technical thing. It's not in the. This is looking at pulse, not voice. There's a plan later on to integrate voice in all this AI stuff, but it's not in that today. So the whole voice thing, that's for our practice. That's basically for our practitioners use that to analyze their patients. It's like a different technology called BWS.
And because I only see the first name here, if anybody, including Catherine, if you're the one, I'm thinking you are, feel free to reach out in the Samara Method group, because this is technology that we use from the voice scan questions, and we can have a discussion about the answer to that for you as well. Not on a webinar, obviously.
Yeah, short version. Yeah, you probably just need to book in Tom's practice. Yeah, yeah. That's that. But
yeah,
cool.
Well, we've got our group covered. So if they're in our group or already a patient, they're covered. And if not, just reach out to that support@tommorcroft.com email. We'll help you get all settled. But again, yeah, and thanks, Lisa. Will you train practitioners in the U.S.? Yeah. So Catherine, they definitely already have I mean, they train a ton of practitioners in the U.S., including me.
Yeah.
So, and then I will. I'll send you a message too, because it is the Catherine I was thinking about.
Yeah, just opt in on the. Well, just go via Tom. It's probably easier.
Yeah, we'll get you, if you need to get plugged in and train, want to do training and stuff, we'll get you connected with the right people so that all VIP. So awesome.
Perfect.
Well, thanks, Harry. I really appreciate you doing this. Like you said, it's a little early, but we wanted to do it in May and share with you guys kind of all the breaking news, and also, new hope for different approaches to healing when you've been stuck. And so, just can't thank you enough for being here and taking your time. Both everybody who's joined us, everybody who watches the replay, and certainly you, Harry. So check out energyforlife.com or e4l.com, I should say, and we'll put that link back in there one more time and send it out to everybody again tomorrow as well. So I don't see, just want to quick check. Yep, I don't see any more questions.
Dinner time.
Dinner time. All right.
All right.
Well,
Cool.
thanks again, everybody, for joining us. And until next time, Dr. Tom out. And Harry, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, bye, guys.